Gentlemen, hey, congratulations on your new film, Yaniv.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You know what? This film is so funny on so many different levels. I wasn't sure, what to expect because, a lot of the stuff was coming from left field, right field, everywhere from the ballpark. But let's hear it from both of you first, is where the original idea came from for this story.
So, first of all, thank you. Love hearing that. It is quite a chaotic film. So, Amn and I, if it isn't obvious already, we are passionate Yaniv players. And I got to give credit to Amnon for finding the game. Amnon, it's a very popular game in Israel, especially amongst the younger generations. It's really common. For soldiers after they complete their service, their mandatory service, to go travel the world. And this game allegedly was brought to Israel from Nepal, and grew in popularity in Israel. So Amnon found the game while he was living in Israel for a few years. He brought it back to America, taught it to all of his friends, including myself, and we we played it all the time, especially during the pandemic when our social circle shrunk a lot. Almond and I were living across the street from each other at the time in Queens, New York. So we'd get together, we'd sit on his balcony, we'd play Yaniv. And I just also want to say Almond and I have been best friends and collaborators for the past 20 years. We met in fourth grade at recess, and we've been making films basically since day one. I like to say that, we've made probably about 500 films together, and 99% of them are absolutely awful. And as we were doing, especially during the pandemic, just like shooting ideas at each other, trying to figure out what our next project was going to be, this idea just kind of came to us. It was almost cosmic. Like, what if there was this teacher? I'm a teacher in New York City public schools. What if there's this teacher that's trying to raise money for the school play, which is something that I'm always talking about and trying to do? What if he discovers this like underground gambling ring where like these Hasids play Yaniv, and he figures out a way to cheat, and that's how he gets the money? And we were like, oh my God, that's it. And then for the next like 5 weeks, that's all we talked or even thought about. We just were writing and writing and writing.
And I want to add that I think that part of what made it such like a potent idea is that it was really taken from the realities of our life. Yes, we were playing a lot of Yaniv. Yes, Ben is a teacher. Yes, the struggles to raise money for, the arts is very real on every plane, including the Department of Education. And we also have had a lot of experience just growing up with kind of the different levels of the different branches of Judaism living side by side, and how they, there are similarities and there are a lot of differences. And sometimes you really, despite the fact we're the same religion, you feel like you're an outsider looking in on some you know, mysterious culture that, at the end of the day, we have a lot in common with. But still, there are these weird kind of like boundaries. So pulling from all those pieces, I think, is what gave it so much life immediately. Like it had a heartbeat the moment we said what if, right? And so then the rest was history.
Now, it is popular over there, but how popular is it over here? I'm not Jewish myself, but I'm not sure if the Jewish community embraces the Yaniv over here in the States, and how did you want to portray the rules on screen, because you literally have to teach it to this audience.
So the game is growing in popularity. In the Jewish community, it's fairly popular, especially on like the Jewish summer camp circuit. It's so common for young Jewish kids and teens to go to summer camp, and there's almost always like a contingent of Israeli staff members. And so that's how the game first arrived in America, and then amongst like Jewish youth groups, Hillels on college campuses, it's fairly popular. We meet people that have our movies the first time they've heard of the game, but we also meet a lot of people as we've screened around the country and the world where they absolutely know this game. They came to see the movie because they couldn't believe there's a movie about this card game they always thought was obscure. And even though the game, is we teach you the rules in the film, but to be honest, it is quite surface level. You can't have like a really boring, explainer video, which the first thing we ever produced as a proof of concept to raise money for the film was that explainer video that you see. We have a much longer version of it. But Alvin and I have actually gotten really good at teaching people the game. We do an event now whenever we screen the film, more often than not. after the screening, the audience leaves, and either in the lobby of the theater or in an adjacent bar or in another venue, we're there ready to play, ready to gamble.
We
We've
bring the
gotten really
Yaniv
good at
Club.
teaching it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we bring the Yaniv Club to them. So, despite the fact that maybe not all the Jewish community in the US knows how to play Yaniv, we're trying to make sure that they do. And so we're spreading the word across the country for
We want
sure.
it in every casino in America. We
Yeah.
won't rest.
Speaking of casinos, that was a terrific twist because it all of a sudden became sort of like like a casino gangster type of a comedy here. But in the gambling aspect, there is no such thing as a gambling in Yaniv, right? That's almost like creating like a gambling aspect, playing bridge or chess, in an underground scenario.
That's really something that we can neither confirm nor deny. So just
Exactly.
leave it. You
I will
really never
say,
know what
yeah,
you might find on the streets of Brooklyn and Queens
I will
or
say
anywhere else.
we on the night of when we wrapped Yaniv, our wrap party, all the crew brought however much money they wanted, and they came in with a goal to gamble on Yaniv, and they sure did.
We made
So
this movie with some absolute degenerates, let me tell
yeah,
you. I mean that in
yeah,
the most loving
I
way
made a lot of
possible.
money that night.
And I lost a lot of money.
Now, how important, to portray, the Jewish culture into a film like this in terms of, balancing it between the culture and comedy?
That's super important for us. It was really super top of mind between Amon and I to not make something that was super schlocky, to not make fun of the Orthodox community, to not lean into stereotypes. Kind of as you said, like there's a lot of things in this movie that are kind of out of left field. We really wanted to blend into the magic realism and absurdity. Really, kind of instead of making fun of the Orthodox community, really show the Orthodox community through the eyes of a secular Jew, which is really our experience. Um, and we had a rabbinical consultant on set with us, and Adam B. Shapiro, who's a renowned Yiddish actor who played Mendy in the film. When we first pitched this idea to him, he was like, he read the script obviously, and he said, "Listen, like normally, like on its head, this is not something I would want to do, but because there's there's no violence in this film, there might be a threat of violence, but at the end of the day, they find a solution, and there are, there are solutions in the most unexpected of ways as well. It really, I think that really kind of just paints the picture of what we were going for. We want to show the community as it exists in a holistic way. There are different ways of believing. There are different ways of observing. More often than not, there's a breakdown in communication. But if you can find that middle ground and find a way to connect, all the better. That's really what we're trying to say on our film.
And I think that through line also what connects it, and you'll see it throughout the story as well, is this idea of kind of like the moral core of being Jewish and as a community. How you don't condone cheating, lying, right, trying to steal or anything like that. However, you do appreciate the need um, to support good causes, right? And kind of a mix of that tough love, of that kind of slap on the wrist, but we'll give you what you want, what you need instead of just what you want. And I think that there's something very kind of like universally Jewish about that message, which kind of tied the whole thing together despite all of our differences. So and yeah, the whole point is we just wanted to make positive Jewish content. I think it's really important, especially now that we have something that people can smile about, laugh about, feel good about. Everyone always leaves the theaters, glowing with a smile on their face. And that is our goal ultimately.
You certainly accomplished that. And Ben, what about acting on screen? I mean, comedy seems to come naturally for you.
I am a clown at the end of the day. Well, I will say with this film, like I was playing myself. I was playing a teacher in the South Bronx, which is that's what I know how to do. Um, I I like to I like to think that I'm really good at finding the humor in everyday situations and really pushing and see how far it can go. Honestly, the hardest part for me in this film was playing like the straight character. I never felt like I had too many opportunities to be goofy. It was a script that we had written together, the world that we had created that was absurd and comical. I felt like I had to be a little bit too normal than I normally am. But I appreciate the shout out there.
I want to point out also the whole, the dance moves, the first position, second position. I think that really is how Ben walks and stands. It was a big part that he actually pushed to have in the film. So this is very much a role about, that is Ben, his essence, his character, and in all of its, in all of its funny parts. And really speaking to what Ben said, the humor, it's not about, being melodramatic or goofy. It's situational humor, right? You play it straight, and then what happens around is what contributes to the irony and the funniness. So lots of Ben in that.
Well, very true. And continuing on that, and tell us about making your cameo as the Rebbe in this film, and explain about the mask. Why we have
Yeah.
to be so mysterious.
Yeah. So this initially, the reason why I pushed so hard to play that role is because Ben and I grew up together. He knows this. It's been a childhood fantasy of mine to run around town in an old man mask, scaring people. So I thought, wow, finally, we're making a big feature film. We've got budget. Let's fulfill this dream. Wearing that mask for 14 hours a day, I deeply regretted ever agreeing to do it. Because not only did I have to wear it in the scenes, I couldn't take it off. So I was directing, I was, negotiating on the side for certain things we needed, talking to casting directors, and they just talked to this ancient man dressed as like the Rebbe the entire time. It takes an hour to put that stuff on, and you just can't take it off. So I was popping a lot of ibuprofen, really cursing myself for ever agreeing to do this, deeply regretting the decision until we reach post production and we see it. And now, in retrospect, I'm really glad I did it. I think that it totally ticks all the boxes, not just for like my own personal fulfillment, that goofy childhood dream, but also because it really just kind of gave you that, spiritual leader, kind of mystical, ancient, um, mysterious, dark essence of what the Rebbe is. I think it just kind of landed at that spot more accurately than either of us could have ever predicted. And certainly I could not have predicted, while fighting a migraine, trying to call action and cut and not being able to hear or see a thing. That was true method acting. I felt like I was that old, like over 100 years old, wearing that mask. And in general, like, I don't know, it's as much as I enjoy directing and editing the film, there is a certain just joy and glamour about being able to be in it, even if it's just like a small cameo. Even we saw it with our extras; they would sit in holding for 10 hours a day just to get on stage, and they weren't grumpy about it at all. There's a magic to being on that screen. So I was glad that I could have my kind of Hitchcock moment, despite how twisted it was, in that regard. So
And now one more major last thing, the theater play of A Little Shop of Horrors. You could have the choices of so many different plays that you could want to portray in this film. Why Little Shop of Horrors?
Well, there's there's a couple of reasons there. One of them being, Amna and I have vastly different tastes in musical theater, and that's the one musical that we both really enjoy. But I also think that Little Shop of Horrors has a really beautiful underdog story to it, and it just matched so well with the story of our film, and we loved it. We wanted to do it. It also, it's not always obvious to people that see the film, but in the world of the movie, the only thing that they can afford at the end, the measly $1,000 that they have, is to buy the rights just to do the show. In real life, we did not have enough money to buy the rights to portray the real show. So we had to quickly just improvise songs from Little Shop of Horrors together with our students. I don't know if that's obvious. The students that you see in the film were my real students at the time. So we got together with like a dozen kids, and we were like, okay, here's the basic story of Little Shop. Now let's make our own version of the music. And I think I'm pretty sure that I speak for both of us when I say that was like one of the absolute highlights of this process was just coming up with
I don't
fake Little Shop of Horrors music.
I don't think I ever laughed so hard and wholeheartedly on that entire set, or for many years since, or before. Like that was one of the golden highlights of making this film. Obviously having the students on set, but to have them on stage and just goofing, it was just goofing around. Like we were making up these lyrics as they were setting up the camera. It was just in the moment, spontaneous fun. And yeah, it just added a whole new layer of heart and just depth to the film process, right? Like the behind the scenes is just as rich for us, and like we love telling people about it as the heart that's in the story, and we think that that's very much because there was so much going on behind the scenes. It really bled into the final product. And in addition to Ben's 2 points that he made about why Little Shop, he forgot to mention that in high school he also was in Little Shop and played the dentist. So we have some
Oh,
very personal, yeah, like come on, don't forget that big point. So we have a lot of like personal connection to the show on a lot of different levels. So it just felt right to kind of plug it into the world of Yaniv.
Excellent. Well, let me wrap it up with one last question. Since both of you have years of experience with Yanni now, who's a better Yanni player?
Uh,
oh, not even
me.
debatable. Amnon.
It's not even, we don't even have to argue about it. And Ben, if you want to argue about it, come over. I'll play you
No,
anytime.
you know what it is? Amnon has really quick reflexes. The game is there's a certain amount of strategy. What was the line in the film? There's that you need strategy, but you also need speed. And Amnon with those slap downs, which is also why he was perfect for the Rebbe. You have this old man who can just quickly. Sorry if I made your ears pop there. Just
Yeah.
slap his cards down on the table. That is Amnon playing in real life.
Yep.
Good.
Well, you guys need to keep on making more of these movies. Another 500 more if you have to. So
Thank you.
this is
Got
a
it.
wonderful movie. A lot of people will enjoy it. Maybe Yanni will take off just like pickleball. Who knows?
Oh, from your mouth to God's ear.
From
That
exactly,
would,
just
yeah,
like pickleball.
100%.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Really
Thanks
enjoyed
a
this
lot.
conversation.
Nice to
Thank you.
meet you. Thank
Nice to
you.
meet you.
Yes.